What are strings and how do you manipulate them in Python? That is what we are going to learn in this video. Hi there, my name is Mukeshkala. I am a 4 times UiPath MVP, Certified Solution Architect and a LinkedIn top voice. Feel free to send me a connection request on the LinkedIn and I would be happy to be part of your network. In this playlist, we are trying to cover the basics of Python in a step-by-step manner. In the previous videos, we have already seen what is Python, how do you install that, how do you configure it, what are variables, what are comments, how do you use arithmetic operation and all of that, right? So in case you don't know any of this and you don't have the Python installed, please watch the previous videos and get Python installed so that you can also practice along this tutorial. Lastly, in case coming to the channel for the first time and haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel to get the next videos in the Python playlist. Having said that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing first, what exactly is a string? Whenever I say string, it is the sequence of characters. The character simply means A, B, C, D, E, F to Z, right? If I combine all of them into a single thing, that is called a string. So for example, Python, Python is a string. Mukess, it is a string, right? So what is a string? A string is a sequence of characters where you can have a word that's called simply a string. In Python, we usually write string in double quotes. One example of string is like name. Okay. One important thing about string which you guys should know before I jump to the practical implementation is that strings are immutable, which means that if once you have created the object as a string or you have created a variable of type string in Python, you cannot change its value. That is why it is called that strings are immutable in Python. If I go by the definition says it means that once the string is created, its content cannot be changed or modified. Any modification which you do on the object tend to create actually a new string object rather than altering the existing one, right? So when you do the advanced complex operation on the string, that time this information is important for you. So please make sure that the strings are immutable in Python. Okay, to show that, I will go to the text editor and we'll see all of that in example. But the last point here, it says that what is the importance of string manipulation? The importance of string manipulation is simply I am writing a program and not always I will receive the input which my program requires. So for example, I have to put some data into an application. I want the first name and the last name together. However, as the input, the first name is separate, the middle name is separate and the last name is separate. So I want to combine all of them to form the complete name, right? So the simple use of the string manipulation is that whenever I have to deal with string and not always I would have the data in a format which I require, right? So that's why we simply have to do the string manipulation, and that is what we are going to see in this tutorial, right? Next, I'm going back to my Python screen, which is the VS Code, and I would also request you guys to open your editor and practice along with me so that end of this tutorial we both have the same set of learnings of the string manipulation. Okay, now going back to my VS Code. Okay, so I'm back to the VS Code. This is the same solution which we have been working on, right? So I'll close this and I will go here and I'll create a new file and I'll call this as string manipulation. I guess string manipulation.py and hit enter, right? So this is where we are going to write our string manipulation code, right? So the first thing first, let's try to define a variable. So I say here define a string. Oops, I think my caps is on, so I'll caps off and I'll say define a string variable. Okay, we have already done that in the variable, so I hope you guys are already aware of that. So I say that I have created a variable. Let's put the value here Mukesh, right? So that is a string, right? So Mukesh is a string which is assigned to a variable which is called first name, right? So that's how the string works. So I told you guys that string is immutable. What do I mean by that? So for example, I have to print this value, right? So how do I do it? I hope now you guys understand. I go here and I say print, maybe, yeah, first underscore name. What happened to my intelligence? Okay, print first underscore name. I'll go and I'll run this, right? And in the terminal, now I should get Mukesh, right? Now, as I told, string is a sequence of characters, which means that this M is one character, this U is second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it is made up of 6 individual characters, and you can programmatically access all of them. So in Python, the index start with 0. So if I have to, just for your understanding, if I have to write it like this, maybe M, sorry, my bad, and then I write U, and then I write K, and then write E, and then I write S, and then I write H, right? So this would be the index 0, this would be the index 1, this would be the index 2, this would be the index 3, this would be the index 4, and this would be the index 5, right? So that's how the index are assigned to the string. It always start with 0, right? Now at any point of time, let's say you want to get those value, I can say that from the first name, get me the first index. So I'll put the square bracket and I'll just put 0. Okay, so now instead of printing the full name, which is Mukesh, I just want to print the first index. I'll save this, go here and I'll say run, right? I'll come to that immutable part. So you can see here it has printed M, right? If I just go and type 3 here, that means now it should print the fourth one, right? Let's see it. It printed the fourth one, right? Now what happens if I go here and I print 8 and I run this? Then it says string index out of range. So you have range of 6 and you are trying to get the 9th character by typing 8th, because index start with 0. That's why it says string index out of range, right? So that's how easy it was to get the index out of the string, right? Now I told you at the beginning that string is immutable, which means that now, for instance, if I try to change something on the string, so where I say that in the first position of the string, I want to change it with a different alphabet like X, right? So now instead of MUKESH, I am trying to update it with X, and then print the complete thing, maybe, right? Let's try to save this, run this file. Does not support the item assessment, which means that this is immutable. Once it is assigned, you cannot actually change the values. Okay, this is not possible, right? The other thing which I told was the index. So I'll just mention here and I'll say index. To get the index, you simply put the square bracket like this and just print the index like this. Okay, right? Please keep practicing with me so that you guys also have the same program at the end, right? So we have this and I now run this. So first it should print Mukesh and then it should print the 0 and the first index. Okay, my bad, I put it here, it should be here, right? There was a syntax error. Again run it, Mukesh, first character, second character, right? So that's how this index thing works in Python. Okay, so now let's move forward and see some of the common methods which are available for string manipulation, right? So what I'll do is I'll just go here and I'll comment these things. So I hope you guys remember to comment. We just simply use this 3 quotes like this. I'll just remove it from here, and that way we are able to comment all of this, right? So now first thing first, I'm going to go here and I will add comments by something like maybe common methods, right? So when I say method, these are the some of the pre-built methods which are available in Python, which you can utilize for your operations, right? So for example, I am going to define an input. So to define an input, I'll just go here and I'll say input, and in the input let me try to put some of the text, right? So in the double quotes I say this is a sample text. Okay, now as you can see, all of this is in lowercase, right? So for example, I have got a requirement where I want to get all of this into the uppercase, right? So string has by default some of the method, and the method which we can directly utilize on this thing, right? So now I'll just go here and I will use a print statement to print, right, the final output, and in the bracket I'll just mention, let's say, upper text, right? So this is how you combine the two inputs, right? I hope you guys remember it from the previous lesson, right? So in the upper text I want to get everything in the upper text, right? So I'll put here comma, and then I'll just mention the input, which is this guy, right? Input, which is nothing but this variable, right? You can see this is highlighted. Now if I want to have it into the uppercase, I put a dot, and then you can see here I am getting a method which is called upper. I can select that, and that way whenever I execute this text, it is going to give me this in the upper text, right? So I can go here and I run it, and you can see here I am not getting any output, right? So the reason for that is, since it is a method, you need to put this bracket, right? So that we tell that this is a built-in method or built-in function. I go here and I run it, and now you can see the output here, which is upper text, which is this is a sample text, this was the input, and this is the output, right? So now same like this, if I have an input which is like this, A B C D E, everything in caps, I can just copy this, paste it back, and here I can say that the lower text would be whatever you have in the input, just make it dot lower, right? And now if I execute, you would see that the upper text is still the upper text because that's exactly the same, and in the lower text I am getting everything in the small letters A B C D E, right? So this is one of the common method which you are going to utilize in Python to make the text upper and the lower. The use case for this would be, for example, you have to input the data in some of the other application, and in that application you want the input to be in a specific case, right? So you can just use the string built-in methods and you can utilize them. Okay, now there are some of the times where you would like to replace the stuff, right? So for example, I am going here and I'll take a string, right? Maybe I will just take a text, right? And this we are going to say replace. So I'll put a comment of replace, right? So what do I mean by replace? So I have a text. The text is like Python is a snake. Okay, so I have a text which says Python is a snake, which is a correct statement. However, Python is also a programming language. So now I have a requirement where I want to change this snake to something which is called Python is a programming language. So this input is exactly going to be the same. The only thing which I am going to do is replace the snake with a new set of string. So basically I have to use something which is called replace, right? So I can just use the replace activity. One way of using the built-in methods is to use it like this directly in the print statement. The other way is you can just create a new variable like new underscore text, right? In the new text I am telling Python that whatever you have in this text variable, put a dot, right? And then you can see it has got a lot of methods. I can put a function which is called rep replace, right? Text dot replace, and then I put a bracket, and then you can see here this is showing you the syntax which says you just put the old and old literal, and that is how you actually understand the method, right? So as you can see here, there are two things which you can use here. One is this one and one is this one. 1 by 2 is this, what syntax does this method support, right? So now if you see here, it says as soon as you put a bracket, which bracket is this bracket, right? You have to put the old literal. As you can see, replace, the first thing is you need to put the old literal, what is the old value, and then you need to put the new string, right? So that's the syntax it is showing, right? So what is the old literal which I want to replace, right? So since it's a string in the double quotes, I'm going to put this same, copy and paste, and then the syntax says put a comma, and then as soon as I put a comma, you would see that previously this old literal was highlighted, but now the new literal string is highlighted. That is asking me that instead of this snake, what do you want to replace? And I want to say that programming language, right? So now if I just go and execute this, sorry, it's not getting any output because we haven't printed it, right? So my bad. So I'll just go here and I say print, and the print, I would like to print the new text, as simple as that, right? And let's execute, and now you can see that it says Python is a programming language. So this simply replaced the string snake with this guy, which is the programming language, right? So that's how you can use this function, which is to upper lower replace, right? And then you have some of the other function which might be helpful, such as let's say slice, right? So for example, I want to slice some of the inputs, right? So let's try to see what is a slice. You can go here, put a hash, and I say slice, right? And slicing is something like where you have to get a subset or substring from a input string, right? So I'll just maybe I'll just comment out all of this. I'll cut this, Control X and Control V, right? So now all of the above thing is commented, right? So now in the slice, what I want to do is I want to show you an example. So I will go and create a text maybe, right? So in the text, I want to put a input string, like let's say invoice number is 1 2 something like this, 1 2 3, and is from India, right? So for example, this is some of the text which we have got. Some of the text like this, we have a number, you have a country name, right? Now you want to extract and slice some of the information, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'll just use a print statement, right? By the way, you can create a new variable, put it into the new variable, and use all of that stuff, right? So now I want to show you some of this thing. So in the print, I will say that this is the slicing, right? Slicing, I'll put a comma. Now to use the slicing, it's a comma, sorry. Now to use the slicing, just you have to use the text which is in the input, and then you just have to put the bracket. Now in the bracket, it's the square bracket, right? Not this bracket, right? You have to use the square bracket, which is this and this, right? So in the square bracket, you just have to provide the index. Okay, so now whenever we talk about the index in the string starts with 0, right? So for example, if I have to talk about specifically this thing, right? So the index for I would be 0, the index for n would be 1, right? For v it would be 3, which simply means that if I just go here and I say slice from 0 to what? 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, 0 to 6, and execute, and I got an error which says that, hey Mukesh, you have done some syntax error, right? So the syntax error is, it's not a comma, my bad, it's a colon. From 0 to 6, it's not a comma, it's a semicolon, right? Sometime I get confused with the C# syntax, sorry, my bad. So it's 0 to 6, right? So you can see here, it says slicing, and the output which we have got is invoic. We have not got the e, right? Why we have not got the e? Because the index here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? In case you want to get the e as well, you just make it to 7. And now if I run it, you would see that the slicing output is invoice, right? Maybe I'll just mention here slicing output, so it's easy, right? So for example, now I want to get, let's say, this number. So what is this, right? So till 7 it was here, right? Maybe it's let's try to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? So I am telling it to get me from 14 to, these are the 3, so 14 plus 3 is 17, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? Let's try to run it. I think it should be 18. Let's try it. And you can see I have got 1, 2. If I want to get 3, it would be 18, right? Because 1 extra. Start with 0, index start with 0. So the slicing output is 1, 2, 3, right? So it's simple. Get the index which is the starting index and which is the last index, and that way you are able to slice, right? There are a lot of other methods which are available in Python. You can use something which is called strip, to upper, to lower. You can do the replace, you can do the remove, right? A lot of string methods are available. The concept is simple. You just go here and use it in the string one, right? Okay, so apart from this, there are a lot of other methods which are available in strings. You can go to internet, just search the common Python string methods and you will see a lot of methods, right? So all you have to do is just use the string variable, put a dot, use the method, provide the syntax as per whatever the method definition is, and you would be able to get the answer. But the whole idea is you have a lot of things which are readily available, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just use the built-in method functions, right? So I hope you guys were able to follow along and you now have a basic idea of how do you do the string manipulation, right? If that is the case, just let me know in the comments that you understood till this part. Okay, so before wrapping this video, I have an assignment for you guys which I wanted to give you. So here is the assignment. The assignment is you are provided with a string. So that's the input string. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So that's the input for you. And from that input, you have to extract the word quick. Then you have to extract the word lazy. And then you have to extract the phrase brown fox jumps. Okay, so you have to extract these 3 words from the given set of string: quick, lazy, and the brown fox jumps, right? And this would be a combination of all the things which we discussed in this tutorial, right? So I hope you guys are able to get the context that how you can use string manipulation to get this text. And if you are able to successfully get what is the assignment and you are able to get the answer, just let me know in the comments, right? Okay, so that is all I wanted to cover in this video of string manipulation. I hope this was helpful. Any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well, right? So wrapping this video here, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.